Hey guys, welcome back to Tyson Calisthenics. So today I'm going to go through a quick Q&A answering some basic questions all about calisthenics, training, nutrition, and anything that my followers have asked me over on Instagram. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's @ConnorTysonPT. I'm often running polls on my stories to try and get a little bit more feedback from my audience that usually helps me shape these YouTube videos, so it's definitely worth following me over there. But let's get into it. Okay, so I'm going to work through all of the questions now. I'll pop the question up on the screen. I'm going to be looking at my laptop over here just to check out what they are, and then I'll answer them as we go. So I'm going to start with a simple one. First question was, where is a good place to buy home workout equipment for starting out? There are a handful of different places you can buy it. During this coronavirus situation, a ton of equipment has sold out. I know for sure companies are struggling to get equipment out at the moment. But I'm going to leave a link in the description, and that's going to be a little hub I've got on Amazon that is a wish list of a few different products that I recommend to you guys, so check that one out. So we've got how to spend rest days and your split at the moment. So again, this is a pretty complex question, but really I split my training usually into push and pull days. So I'll work on push-based movements in one day, the next day I'll go to pull movements, then I'll train lower body, and then I usually cycle it around on something like that. But honestly, it really depends what you're trying to work towards in your calisthenics. So if you're at a stage of training where you're quite new to calisthenics as a whole, and you're trying to get into basic movements, then I'd recommend more endurance style training. So basically you want to be doing slightly easier movements for a slightly longer amount of time. And you can generally train whole body 3 or 4 times a week with this, because you're not going to be having super high volume on any muscle group. But as you advance through your skills, say you're training towards your planche or your front lever, you would potentially have a more focused day on that muscle group. So if you're training for a front lever, you're going to be hitting your lats really, really hard in one day if you're trying to build up the conditioning for it. But if you're trying to get to the point where you're actually trying to improve the length of your holds, then it takes a different style of training, and that's more strength training. Just like if you're in the gym and you're trying to up your 1 rep max, you wouldn't deadlift super heavy 5 days a week. Likewise, if you're training towards skills in calisthenics, you wouldn't really want to hit a super high volume workout over and over again, because you're just going to get super fatigued. So with skill training in calisthenics, which is what I'm trying to work towards at the moment mostly, I usually try and keep it fairly light, but I stay really consistent. So I practice skills often every day or every other day. I leave a little bit of a break between, and I usually have a really heavy higher rep session 1 time per week that I have a couple of days rest after, so I properly recover before I get back into my skill training. So I hope that one helped. How long on average does it take to learn a new skill if one gives 20 to 30 minutes a day? That's a good question. So skill training is really dependent on the individual. Some people pick up skills really quickly, and some people take a long time to master a skill. For me, it took a long time to get my handstand balance kind of locked in, and even now I'm still evolving a lot. My posture needs work, my mobility in my upper body needs a lot of work. So it's something that evolves. The key with skills is that the more consistent you are, the more likely you are to hit those progressions in the future. So keep it going at 20 to 30 minutes a day. That's definitely a good amount of time to be spending, whether it's on a handstand or working towards other skills. I will say that some skills require more strength than others. So with a handstand, once you've got the ability to hold yourself up using your shoulders and you're able to get into that nice posture, as soon as the strength's out of it, you're then just working on that balance. So you wouldn't want to train for 2 hours straight on a handstand. It'll be more effective for you to just train for a 20 to 30 minute period every single day, or at least 5 days a week for the next 2 months, and you'll see a ton of progress that way. So with skill training, definitely keep it light, but honestly you can see progress within weeks if you stay consistent and you keep practicing the right progressions. So next one we've got, how do you keep up with fitness levels even with days of complete demotivation? So this one, again, could open a whole can of worms, but really I think that when it comes to your motivation around training, you have to really define what your reason is for it. So, have that solid reason why at the start of your workout, what you're trying to achieve out of your fitness training, whether it's just to unlock a skill, whether it's to lose a little bit of fat, whether it's to build muscle. If you've got that strong enough reason why, then even on days where you're not feeling so motivated, you're going to want to get up and get into the training anyway. But it's also completely understandable to have days where you feel a little bit worse. You know, that's just life. It's a balance, and I have so many days where I just don't feel like doing it, and I feel like it's a grind. And honestly, it's just having self-discipline to get into it, because you know, if you hit a good workout, if you hit a good calisthenics session, every single time you're going to feel better after it. You know, you can go for a 20-minute session, whether it's going for a run, whether it's just smashing out 100 burpees, whatever it is, and you know for a fact, if you train for 10 minutes even, you're going to feel amazing. So always remember and harness that feeling you get after a workout of positivity, and just try and remember that. Something else I do often is just to write down the feeling after training, how good it felt, the movements that I've been unlocking, what I'm working towards. And if your goals are defined enough, then you know you're going to be able to get through that session. But some days it's fine to not train. You know, you need to give your body enough rest, but equally on days where you don't really have any other excuses, just go for it and just really try and push yourself, but accept that everyone has days where it's a lot tougher as well. Cool, next one. What is the fastest way to unlock a front lever? Front lever is quite a complicated move. I'm going to make a full tutorial on this, so I will do that in the future. But honestly, it's just starting with the basics. For me, one of the first things I start with any of my clients in their calisthenics journey is working on scapular strength. When you're hanging on a bar, you're shrugging your shoulders down and you're getting to that active hang position. Just holding that shrug position is going to build a lot of strength around your scapula. Once you've started mastering that and you're feeling more confident hanging on the bar, it's going to a tuck position, so engaging your abs, squeezing your knees to your chest and trying to pull the bar down to your waistline. Often what helps for me is just hanging on a lower bar and having my feet on the floor, but just get that tuck really, really solid. You want to have a tuck and an advanced tuck where you're extending your legs a bit further for at least 20 or more seconds before you start progressing further at all. Just leave your ego at the door, start with the basics, and honestly you're going to progress so much faster if you start really simple and then only add progressions in when you're super, super comfortable. The last thing, you know, in anything with calisthenics, whether it's training towards a front lever, a muscle up, a planche, any of these strength movements, is progressing too fast. You know, you just want to stay in your own lane, realize that actually you haven't quite mastered a tuck yet, but you know, you're just going to work on it until you get there. Once you get to the point where you've mastered the tuck, go for the advanced tuck, go for the one leg, go for the straddle, and then the supported, you know, full movement where you got your legs up straight. One last thing that you can do to practice with your front levers is adding dragon flags into your training. That's a super useful way to strengthen your core as well. But like I say, I'm going to do a full tutorial on this at a later date too. What are some good exercises to develop a strong core and good balance? So there are tons of movements you can do in calisthenics that are going to help your core strength and your balance. You know, just due to the nature of calisthenics and bodyweight training, most movements you're doing, whether you're hanging on a bar or just doing any push-pull, you're going to be using a lot of different muscle groups. At the same time, in compound movements, if you're going to the gym and you're isolating a certain muscle group like your bicep with a curl, and it's a very small movement, the rest of your body won't be that active and you're not going to be using these multiple different muscle groups at the same time. Whereas with calisthenics, if you're doing pull-ups, if you're doing press-ups, you're going to be working your core all the time, so you don't necessarily have to isolate with these crunch type movements. You know, the way I think of it is that, you know, if you're holding weight all the time, if you're hanging on a bar, if you're doing a press up, if you're doing a bodyweight squat even, your core is active because it's stabilizing you. And the more movements you can do that encourage that element of stability, whether that's single-sided movements like assisted single arm press ups, even if it's just up on a wall, that's going to get one side of your body working more than the other. So those unilateral single-sided movements are going to build a lot of core strength. The more varied your movements are, the better. Simple ones to start with. Any of the workouts I've got on my channel that show whole body movements, anything that is planking based is cool, but I always like to add a little bit more to that. You want to lift one leg off the floor, you want to rotate round into a single-sided plank, add some motion into it, hold something above your head, add some instability. And the more instability you've got in any movement, the more core control and balance you're going to develop. So I will put more workouts up in the future that are perfectly designed to build good balance and control, but I hope that answered your question a little bit. Alright, so the last question I'm going to go for today. What is your opinion on the 80-20 diet strategy? So, I don't know all that much about the 80-20 diet strategy. I've looked into it a little bit, and what I seem to have found is that it's essentially a diet that just preaches if you stay consistent 80% of the time, the 20% doesn't matter. And honestly, I would say that I do agree with that, because we're not robots. We don't just get up in the morning, eat something purely for nourishment, have no emotional attachment to it, and then go away and say, perfect, that's all good, I don't have any cravings. Because we do, that's just a natural thing. Personally, I follow a plant-based diet, have done for over 2.5 years, and I stay very consistent to that framework. But within that plant-based diet, where I mostly eat whole foods and as much natural food as possible, I do have, more cheat day type meals. On occasion, my diet is definitely 80% healthy for sure. I'll try and eat whole foods as much as I can, but equally, if there's a super nice vegan chocolate bar, I'm gonna eat it. Or if there's a certain energy bar that has a little bit more sugar in than normal that's probably not optimum, I'll still eat it. And as long as your diet is consistent most of the time, 80% of the time, I would say that you're still gonna make progress. As if you ate 100 meals, and exactly that, 80 of them have to be good. 20 of them can probably be less than optimal, and you're still gonna make gains, because your progress is gonna reflect what you do most of the time, not what you do on that one occasion. So as long as the majority is positive and you're following a good framework, then the 80-20 diet strategy is probably gonna work for you. Alright, so I hope this question and answer video was useful for you guys. Hopefully this video shed some light on a few issues you've been thinking about yourself, and if there's anything you wanna know in the future, always hit me up either on Instagram or on YouTube. But thanks for supporting the channel, guys. If you could hit this video with a like, that would be really appreciated, as it just helps my channel to grow. If you want to check out another video all about calisthenics, I'm going to put some videos up here that you can see that are hopefully going to be useful to you. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel for future videos coming soon, and I will catch you all in the next one.